Hello and welcome to the latest podcast. I am your host, JP John Poz. With me today, very special guest, former WCW and WWF Head Writer, former WCW World Heavyweight Champion, Mr. Vince Russo. Vince, welcome back. How you doing?
What is going on, John? How you doing today, man?
Very good. A buddy of mine actually watches these all the time. He gets annoyed when I call you the former WCW World Heavyweight
Great.
Champion.
Then continue to do it, bro.
That's why I
Because
do.
I am here to definitely annoy people, bro.
I love that. So, as far as the news and everything with Vince McMahon, were you shocked at all the stuff that came out? Or are you one of those people? Because a lot of people just almost waiting for stuff to come out on Vince for a while.
To the extent of the allegations, bro, I was shocked. Reading those emails and stuff like the defecation and stuff like that. I mean, come on, bro. Like, we knew about the NDAs, chasing skirts, whatever Vince was doing and giving women hush money. That's one thing. But when it got to this level, man, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. John, I'll be honest with you. I don't think I want to believe nothing went on when I was there. It was a different time during that Attitude Era. And, it's funny, John, because I really felt to some extent that myself and Ed Ferrara kind of kept Vince grounded because we weren't from the wrestling bubble, bro. We weren't from that world. We were just two regular guys. We were writers. Ed was married. I was married with kids. And I kind of think we brought that to Vince. And I'd like to think maybe we normalized him a little bit. Because, bro, if you look at, my record, bro, when I left, that's when, Vince was more involved with the creative. That's when they did the Diva search. That's when he was making out with women on TV. That's when they, started the bra and panty matches. Bro, none of that was going on when we were writing the Attitude Era. I mean, none of it. And when I look back now and, Vince kind of taking over creative, when I left, my God, bro, it's like all those things he was doing on camera, it looks like now he was doing in real life, times 10. Because I got to tell you, John, seriously, man, if I were there and I would have been privy to any of this, no way I would have continued to work for that man. Absolutely not. No way. And bro, you know what? Whether people are innocent or guilty, there are a lot of things that they're going to have to live with. And sometimes that's even worse. I was just watching an interview this morning, bro, because we've been talking about for years and years and years and years, Ashley Mazzaro. We've been talking about her for years, and it was the biggest kept secret. And I just saw an interview this morning where, one of her friends came forward and basically said Stephanie McMahon knew all about that. And, not for anything, bro, if that is indeed the case and this woman went on to kill herself, bro, that's something a Stephanie McMahon is going to have to live with. And sometimes that's worse, bro, having something like that on your conscience. Sometimes that's worse than sitting in a jail cell and just rotting for the rest of your life. Bro, I equate Chyna's death to the WWE. No doubt about it. Absolutely no doubt about it. And bro, I've always said this is one of the things I will never forgive them for. She was at the end of her life, bro. She was campaigning to get in the WWE Hall of Fame, and she was calling the office, and nobody would take her calls. And I've said again and again and again, if somebody would have just taken her calls and made her feel like, she was worthy of a conversation, she may still be alive today. But like I said, bro, the people, Bruce Pritchard doing the interview. I know nothing. I say nothing. I do nothing. Yeah, bro. Bruce was aware of everything that went on with Vince McMahon, and whether he is named in this lawsuit or not, guess what, bro? He's going to have to live with all those things that he knew and never said anything about. And like I said, man, that to me is going to be a living hell for a lot of people.
Man, and then Johnny Ace came out, basically, turned on Vince, of course. He's going to do that, and basically he said, actually, Mr. Upper Management knew. My only issue with that is he was upper management, and
Right.
he was in charge of talent relations. So almost the buck stops with him. So he's saying upper management knew. He's kind of incriminating himself as well. So
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
he's guilty too,
yeah,
obviously.
I think he knows he is. I mean,
Yeah.
I think there's no question about that. He is upper management, and they all knew, which meant that he knew. So I mean, I think he's well aware of incriminating himself. And like I said too, John, like a lot of it is, bro, I swear to God, John, like I've been married for over 40 years. Okay, bro. And I was in the wrestling business, and I worked with some of the most beautiful women in the business. And I had some power as the head writer. Okay. John, I've never, ever once in my freaking life ever cheated on my wife. And for a lot of reasons, bro, because number one, I thought it would have been such a show of disrespect. I'm at the arena every week. I'm working. My wife is home taking care of my kids, and I'm going to cheat on her. I might as well just spit in her face. But also, too, John, with that, I would have never done that. But even with that, like, I am a guy like with a conscience, and if anything like that would have ever happened, I would have been the first one to tell her. So my point is, man, I think there's a lot of people that have been walking around with a heavy conscience for a lot of years, bro. And at some point, man, you just got to get that shit out.
Man, if you look at it too with Vince and all that, when you were there, as far as you know, none of that stuff was going on. But there was allegations before you were there, though. You know what I mean? Like, so this has not been something new. It's something as he got older. Even when he was a lot younger, there was a lot of allegations. Rita Chatter on the referee. I mean, there's a bunch of ones.
Bro, listen, Bruce told me this isn't secondhand. This isn't third hand. This isn't, this isn't a dirt sheet reporting news. Bro, Bruce told me the lifestyle firsthand in the 80s. And Bruce told me flat out, bro, him and Vince used to sit in the back of limousines freaking snorting cocaine. I mean, that came directly from Bruce. So, well, what goes with that partying, bro? I mean, we know what's entailed in that type of a lifestyle. And bro, the early WrestleMania years, this is the lifestyle Vince was living.
When you look at that, is it just he's rich, he's in charge of the company, he's taking over, or is it something even deeper than that?
I think it's even deeper than that, John. I think really, bro, it's all about power, man. I think it's all about power. And when you have that kind of money, just like, being in control of other people's lives and having them in the palm of your hand. And the reality of it is you can do anything you want to do. And after a while, bro, you think you can get away with anything. And I really think that's what it comes down to, bro, is just that freaking power, and that ego just overcomes everything.
When you look at it too, if you look at his past, I know there's no excuses, but if you look at his past, a lot of abuse and sexual abuse, obviously before his dad came into play, Vince Sr., this is when he was living with his mom down in North Carolina. So it does seem like, obviously, roles reversed. He was abused as a child and different things. So not a great upbringing for Vince. And it almost was like once he got the power, he flipped the script. Do you agree with that, or do you think that it
John,
could
listen,
come
man,
into play?
let's face it. A lot of us did not have the ideal, upbringings. I was one of the lucky ones that did, bro. No question about it. I never had anything like that in my family, thank God. But I mean, John, come on, bro. It comes to the point when you become an adult.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can carry that baggage, and you can point the finger at other people and this, that, and the other thing. But I'm sorry, man. There comes a point in your life, bro, where you become an adult. You understand right from wrong, and you've got to start taking responsibility for yourself. So, if he had a bad upbringing, man, I feel for him. I never experienced that, thank God. But at some point, bro, you become a man. You know what I mean? And you grow up. And I don't know, bro. Perhaps he never did.
It was a great show I was watching, The Shield. I don't know if you remember that show. It was on
Mhm.
FX, 15, 20 years ago. And one of the cops was grilling one of the inmates, not inmates, but one of the guys convicted of a crime. And he's saying to the guy, he's like, your moral compass is broken. I always think that with Vince, it's like there was no moral compass. It was completely broken, it seems like, with some of the stuff that he thought that he either could get away with, allegedly, or did get away with.
John, it could have been because, like I told you, John, as the head writer for 3 companies, I had a certain amount of power,
Right.
and I could have written anything. Bro, I couldn't imagine writing scenes where I was making out with women on the roster. Like, I couldn't imagine that. And, bro, it's even worse because, he was Vince McMahon. He knew they couldn't say no. No matter how uncomfortable they felt doing shit on camera and whatnot, he knew they couldn't say no. And like I said, bro, as a guy that was in that spot, never in a million years would I have ever put a female talent, in that kind of a position where, oh yeah, and then we're gonna make out, and then I'm gonna grab your ass, knowing damn well you say no, you're gonna be out of a job. I mean, so just playing out that fantasy on camera. Forget real life. Just playing it out on camera. I remember, bro, I never watched the WWE when I went to TNA, but I would see these clips, and I would remember saying to myself, like, what the F is wrong with you, man? You're writing this stuff. These women can't say no. You're putting them in a very vicarious position where they're very uncomfortable, but what? You don't give a shit?
How much blame do you put on him versus like the writers? Like, is he writing it or the writers writing it? Because there's got to be a little bit of the writers putting this out there and Vince saying, "Oh, obviously he's got the final say."
Bro, I was just watching some interview this past week where Stephanie McMahon was saying it was his idea to be the father of my child. She said, not writers, bro. No writer would ever suggest that,
Okay.
ever. And she's even saying it was his idea, and she had to tell him no, that crossed the line. And then he said, "Well, what about Shane?" So it's like, man, if his own daughter is saying that's the stuff he was coming up with, I would think, bro, that he had a hand behind all of that stuff.
When you look at just him and that kind of stuff, I mean, nobody says anything to him. Like even Stephanie doesn't say anything. Like raise a red flag. Like, hey, that's a little insane.
Well, she said she did. She
She did.
said,
Oh, okay.
oh yeah, she said she did. She said that was like way over the line, and I told them, there's just no way I was going to do that. So she did. But any writers or Pritchards or anybody like that standing up to him, absolutely not, bro. Absolutely, bro. Look at all these people that kissed his ass in the Kiss My Ass Club. Bro, if I was ever asked to do that, I don't care if it's a television show or not. If I was ever asked to do that because this dude is like just a freaking egomaniac, bro, I would have told him to kiss my ass. Just like I told him to kiss my ass when he told me to get a nanny to hire my kids. I would have never, ever put up with that bullshit. And that's what I'm saying, bro. All the people around him in the inner circle who knew stuff like this was going on, bro, maybe you don't want to confront him, but you really want to work for a guy like that, bro? You really want to work for somebody like that? Come on, man.
You think they were afraid of him? Were you afraid they couldn't get a better job someplace else, or they needed the money? Like, would the fear play a factor in that?
Bro, I think it's different, John, for every individual. Because, bro, there's no doubt in my mind, Triple H knew if there's this honey around the office that's going back and forth at a level that he's on, he knows. So then if Triple H knows, I ask myself the question, bro, this is a guy that's got more money than he'll ever need, his kids will ever need, his grandchildren will ever need. This is a guy that's a millionaire many, 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 many times over. Because, John, I understand that if you're in a position where you need the money to support your family, like, that's one thing, bro. Like, that's one thing. That really puts you in a tough position. But if you're one of these guys that are well off and don't need the money and aren't saying anything, that I don't understand.
This is pure speculation, but if you look at Shane McMahon, didn't seem like he had the greatest relationship with Vince for a long time, on and off, on and off. Do you think any of that had to do with him finding stuff out and be like, oh God,
Bro,
I got to distance myself?
Absolutely. John, the last conversation I had with Shane, which was, oh my God, bro, 6 years ago, maybe. Last conversation I had with Shane. I remember asking him, Shane, do you know why I left the company? And he goes, yeah, my father told me that WCW offered you more money. I said, Shane, that's absolute bullshit. That is an outright lie. I said, the reason I left was because your father told me to hire a nanny to watch my kids. And, bro, there was a long, long silence. And then Shane said to me, Vince, that doesn't surprise me at all, because that's how he is with my kids. So that told me right there, bro, like, holy shit, like, you don't give a shit about your own grandkids, bro. It's no mystery why Shane left now. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. If Shane knew about these going-ons, perhaps Shane was the type of guy that, you know what, man, I don't want to be anywhere around that. And that's why Shane went to Japan or wherever to start his own company. But yeah, bro, I mean, I think that Shane leaving had a lot to do with him knowing what was going on.
And I've talked to Dr. Tom and a bunch of guys saying that Shane was a lot closer to Linda. So
Yes.
obviously, if Vince and Linda were still married at that point, he's doing stuff and he's closer to his mom. Obviously, he's probably going to be pretty upset over certain things.
Yeah, bro. Shane, Shane and Linda were the good people in the family. I mean, they really, really were. Linda was my boss directly. I think she was one of the best bosses I ever had. And, there was a little, the stories I hear just about Stephanie's way of managing and belittling people and the way she treated some of the writers. Her and Vince seemed similar in a lot of ways.
When you look at Linda now, she's completely ignoring everything. She's doing her political career. I just think it's funny, like the Vince stuff comes out and she's like, well, we got to get money for Trump. Or, what I mean? She's completely like ignoring it because she's like probably done with it at this point, like completely sick of it at this point, I would imagine.
Well, bro, I remember when I got Bruce a job at TNA, bro. This is back in about, I don't know, man, 2011-ish. And I remember the first time I sat down with Bruce when he came to Orlando. One of the things he said to me, he told me was, bro, at that point in 2011, Bruce told me that Vince and Stephanie had been separated for years. For years. So, bro, it's probably that was 2011. So, bro, it's probably 20 years that they haven't been living together as a couple.
Wow. So she's completely, I mean, she still has the name, but completely isolated or insulated
Yeah,
from him, like nothing to do with him for a long
yeah.
time.
Yes, yeah, because Bruce told me it was years, and like I said, bro, that was 2011. So that was shoot 13 years ago now.
Crazy. What do you think about the Brock Lesnar stuff with him being implicated? Although not named, but obviously implicated.
Yeah, bro, John, like, listen, bro. You and I are regular dudes. You know what I'm saying, bro? You're happily married. You got kids. I'm happily married. I got grandkids,
Yep.
And it's like when you read about this stuff, it's like, who does that? You know what I'm saying? Like, John, I have said this from the beginning. I should, bro. The last email Vince McMahon wrote me, he cut a promo on me, insulted me, basically told me I was a piece of shit, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If anybody, I should be the first guy wanting Vince to rot in jail. I really should be. But John, the fact of the matter is, and this is a shoot. Bro, I hope none of this is true because it's horrible.
Yep.
It's horrible for everybody involved, bro. Horrible. It's horrible for Vince's own kids. The saddest thing to me is the freaking grandkids.
Yep.
Like, for their sake, I hope none of this is true because the allegations are just so freaking hard. I hope it's not true for Janelle Grant because you read this stuff and it's like, who freaking in their right mind does this?
And yeah, even from her part, I mean, she agreed to some of it and agreed to be paid off for some of it too. So it looks horrible for her either way. And obviously, what Vince did to her allegedly is awful and maybe even worse. But man, she was, she's no saint in it either. So it's just hopefully it's, and I don't know. Hopefully, most of it isn't true. Hopefully, I mean, some of that stuff's just outright disgusting.
I
I mean,
know.
just
That's what I'm
plain and
saying,
simple.
bro.
Yeah.
Like I said, I should be wanting Vince to rot in jail. And I'm like, I hope you didn't say these things. I hope you, I mean, seriously, bro, that's how I feel.
The weird thing about Lesnar is she admits she never met him before. So to me, it's almost like, does that story doesn't hold a lot of
Well,
weight
well,
though?
well, bro, I will say this. When you read through that report,
Yeah.
it looks like there was a couple of times that Brock was supposed to hook up with her, and it kind of looks like he may have been doing everything in his power to get out of it. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yep.
the first story I think was they brought him over to her and he was like drunk off his ass and they had to take him back to the hotel. And then, the second instance was, the plane flight. He couldn't make a plane, blah, blah, blah. So if I'm reading between the lines there, it almost looks to me like this hookup was kind of being pushed and
By
perhaps,
Vince.
yeah, yes, and perhaps Brock was doing everything in his power to get out of it.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like to me. And she admits she never met him. So it's like,
Right,
Vince seems like, who knows if Brock even really was even cognizant of who she really was. It just
right,
seemed like a Vince thing, not a Brock.
right.
But I was talking to a couple of guys that work there, and they said like he doesn't even care if he like ever comes back. Basically, and I think
Oh
Road
yeah,
Dogg
yeah,
even just said in an interview he may
yeah,
never come back. I don't think he gives a shit. You know what I mean? Just like, well,
yeah,
fuck it, I won't come back then.
yeah, yeah. Bro, I don't know. I have a hard time with people like with who are wealthy and very well off. I just have a huge problem with them still working for that company, bro. I'm sorry, bro, because the fact of the matter is, whether Vince is there or not, you still have remnants of people there that were involved in this and that know more than they're saying. And like I said, bro, unless like, man, I gotta do this to support my family. I just don't know why you would want to work for that company, bro.
Now, what do you think TKO thought of this with Mark Shapiro and Ari Emanuel, who obviously known him for a long time, was in business with him forever, was his agent forever? What do you think like their involvement or knowledge of this was?
Well, see, John, it's very interesting, bro, because, bro, before you buy a company, like there's months and months and months and months of what is called discovery. And it's where the WWE has to hand everything over to TKO for them to go over the books, how much money they're making, how much money they owe, everything that's on the books. So, bro, there is no doubt in my mind. This is the interesting part to me. There is no doubt in my mind that they saw the NDAs. They saw that money was paid out. Bro, remember when the NDAs were found out about? And then remember when the WWE, the company, had to go back and work the numbers, including what was paid out for those NDAs for their shareholders. That's because, bro, with all those NDAs, as an officer of the company, the WWE paid for those NDAs, not Vince McMahon personally. The company paid for them. So now when you go back to Discovery, and now, TKO's accountants and lawyers are looking at everything that's on the books. They already know about the NDAs. That shit already came out. Well, bro, now they're looking at an NDA in Janelle Grant's case that was open. This NDA was not paid in full. Money is still owed on this NDA. So, bro, I find it highly unlikely that they didn't know Vince stopped paying this woman. And, bro, maybe they saw that as an opportunity to oust Vince from the company. That's what I think. Because there's no way in the world they saw this one NDA that still had money owed to it, and they kind of just let that slide. There's no way in the world.
Now, I was just reading yesterday, there's a part in his contract where he cannot be fired. It was basically he had to resign, die, or something else had to happen.
Right.
So they were okay with putting that in there as far as his deal.
Yeah. So that tells me they knew all about this, bro. And this was a means to them perhaps getting rid of him once and for all.
And the other rumors, of course, Ari, who's been friends with him forever, said, hey, you got to resign. This looks really bad for WWE and TKO. So he stepped aside and he resigned. But who knows if there's not a deal saying that, once this passes or whatever, that or once this is settled, that you can probably come back. Like, right? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, bro, if that's a possibility, they're freaking idiots. Like, they're I mean, and I don't think Ari Emanuel is an idiot, bro. And bro, you gotta understand too, you gotta look at the timing of this, which is so interesting. It's like, bro, the Netflix deal goes down for $5 billion. Okay. Like the next day, Rock is named on the board. And like the next day, all this Vince shit comes out. So it's almost like they knew all about this shit. They get the $5 billion and they turn around to Vince and say, brother, you ain't getting a penny of this money, bro. Like you ain't getting none. But the timing of it is just like, holy shit, bro. Was this a plan? Did they smarten up Janelle Grant to file a lawsuit?
Interesting. Remember a few months ago before this, he took out a ton of money and like millions of dollars. I wonder if he maybe saw this coming and he knew that he was going to pay somebody off. So he wanted to get some extra money aside because he knew that the payoffs were coming. I was kind of curious about that as well, because he kind of took out the money before TKO really kicked in and started making more money as far as the stock was concerned.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Bro, who knows with, inside trading, they were all selling stock at the same time and buying it at the same time. So who knows, bro? We got to remember, man, the government, pretty much raided his home, and they took computers and phone records and everything. So my God, bro, who knows what they're going to find?
Yeah, the federal government. Remember, of course, the steroid case. He beat the steroid case. Feels like they've been kind of wanting to get him ever since. Maybe a little revenge on their part.
Well, bro, not only did he beat the case, he gloated about the case.
Yeah.
He gloated. Bro, if that were me and I had beat the case, I would have stayed so freaking small. Like, oh my, thank God, not Vince, bro. He was flexing his muscles and talking about how he beat the federal government. Bro, you're an idiot. Like that's just idiotic, bro. Boasting about how you beat the federal government because, like you said, bro, they don't forget shit like that. They don't forget shit like that. So now all of a sudden, bro, you effed up again, and this time we're gonna make sure we get you. I mean, that's just again, bro. That's ego. That's just Vince's ego doing something and carrying on in a way that was very, very stupid, bro.
And sending out text messages and emails. I mean, that's idiotic too. That's like you don't think you're going to get caught. You don't even give a shit. You know what I mean? Like that's just so stupid.
I don't know though, John. How do you not even know you're going to get caught? I mean, bro, I know on my computer and on my phone, I know everything is traceable. Like I know that. So it's like how bro, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, bro. Bro, the only other thing I'll say about this is because I'm really looking at all possibilities. Okay, bro? Bro, here you got a 77-year-old man, whatever the case may be, right? And this is all hypothetical, man, but I'm trying to look at everything. So he does whatever he does with Janelle. Okay, bro. Next thing you know, he's freaking dead asleep. Could she have taken his phone and wrote those text messages? Because think about that for a second, bro. Think about that. If she's going through this living hell and now it's, she's looking for a way out. Bro, I'm just watching The Sopranos. Remember The Sopranos with the way they used Ariana, Christopher's girlfriend? Remember that? Bro, this could have been the same exact thing. So who's to say he wasn't dead asleep? There's his phone on the nightstand. Oh, let's put in these text messages. And then after I put them in, I will delete them because there's already a record of them. Because, bro, if he ever had to, if those text messages are traced back to his phone and he turns around and says, I didn't write them, how the hell are you ever going to prove that, bro? You're never going to be able to prove that. But that's why, bro, it's like I'm looking at all freaking possibilities here.
You never know because you're right. Maybe he didn't write him, or who knows? Spoofed. I don't know. However they do stuff today where you get messages from people that aren't really the people. But I mean, I'm not saying he did or didn't do it. I'm just saying that you got to leave it open. Look at the Trevor Bauer stuff with that girl. That was nuts.
And that's
who would ever thought that would. Whoever ever thought that would happen? Yeah,
and that's a freaking joke too, bro. That nobody will give this guy an opportunity. That I am a big baseball fan. That makes me sick to my freaking stomach. It has been proven that this woman lied, bro. The guy was never charged of anything, never guilty of anything, and these freaking 30 teams, whatever it is, nobody will hire this guy. That makes me sick, bro. That tells you right then and there, any person can ruin another person's life, whether it's frivolous, untrue, lies. Any person can ruin another person's life.
That was crazy. They actually had her on tape.
Yep.
Telling her friend what she was doing and filming him sleeping and all this other stuff. So you never know some of this. And then she says like her other friend does the same thing. They screw guys out of money because they don't want to work, but they want the perks of having a rich boyfriend or screwing over again. That was insane. And I feel like the Yankees need another pitcher, by the way. I feel like the Yankees should get him, but
somebody's got to give
Cashman will never do it.
Yeah, bro, it's sickening. It's really sickening. If he was found guilty of something, that is one thing. But the fact that he's never been found guilty of anything, and he had proof that the woman was lying, that sucks, bro.
Yeah, insane. When you go all the way back and you first met Vince, like when was it and how was that experience of meeting him?
Man, bro, it was really weird, John, because it was back when all the steroid shit was going down. And the WWE was holding a stereo symposium in New York City at one of the hotels with the I can't remember what the doctor's name, but the whole symposium was about a steroid policy they were going to put into effect and what they were going to do and how they were going to test and all this shit and the other thing. And I went to it because I wanted to, get the information. And that's where I first met Vince. And bro, I got to tell you, John, like, I got to meet and work with a lot of celebrities in wrestling and whatnot. But bro, I'll never forget that day because when Vince walked into the room, and I'm talking about before the symposium, that's where I was introduced to him through the PR guy. The guy's name was Steve Planamenta. There was such a presence about him, bro, like walking into a room that I had never felt before or since. I don't know what it is, bro. It's not that I was a Vince McMahon mark, because I wasn't, but there was just such a presence of him in that room. And I swear, bro, I've never experienced that, either before or since. I don't know what it was, bro. I don't know. Maybe he was the devil incarnate himself. I don't know, but there was just something, bro, that I never forgot.
Did you, when you actually met him, did you like him or were you a little weary of him?
Bro, John, listen, you know us from the freaking East Coast.
Yep.
There's something, bro, in New York, Jersey, Philly, bro, you have that street smarts. You just know. You can read people. You just know. And the one thing I read from Vince, like immediately, was he loved people being afraid of him. He loved that, bro. He got off on that. He loved people being intimidated by him. He loved people being afraid to talk to him. And like, bro, like I saw that very, very, very early on. And I don't know what it was, John. Like, I was never afraid of Vince. I was never afraid of him. And I go back to like one of the first times, bro, was, I started the Raw magazine. And in the Raw magazine, I did an interview with Bret Hart. That was one of the first shoot interviews ever. And Bret was on the verge of going to WCW, and we talked about that in the interview, and we talked about Eric Bischoff in the interview. We talked about all that shit. So Bruce was kind of the liaison between the magazine and Vince. So as soon as I sent this interview to Bruce, he could not wait to run it up to Vince. He could not wait because he knew Vince was going to rip my head off. And I'll never forget, bro, Bruce brings it to Vince. Vince then calls me up in his office. He's got the interview. Bro, he took his right arm and cleared everything that was off the desk and was red in the face with his veins coming out of his neck, screamed at me, "What do you want to do? Put me out of business?" Bro, my instinct was to laugh. Like, I swear to God, I thought it was freaking funny because here I was trying to bring the wrestling business, into 2000, with, real, no Freddie Joe Floyds and who's and what's and where's and all that shit.
Yeah.
I'm trying to bring the business into, current times. I'm really trying to help the business. And in his mind, I'm trying to put him out of business. And that's exactly what I said to him. I said, trying to put you out of business. I said, I'm trying to help you. So that was the thing, bro. I for whatever reason, I was just never afraid of this guy or intimidated by this guy. And I think, like I said, John, I think a lot of it had to do with just being a New Yorker and you just kind of know when somebody's full of shit.
With him too, I always feel like he always says he was self-made per se, but he did get a sweetheart deal from his dad, who was obviously the king of wrestling. If you think New York is number one territory, which I do, so his dad's obviously the number one guy, number one promoter. Then you buy that company for $1 million. You didn't have the money, so you're making him a little bit payments at the time. WWF blows up thanks to Hulk Hogan and many of the other guys there, and then you could pay off Gorilla Monsoon and Toots Mon or whoever, like Zacho. You could just whoever's there, you could pay off all the other guys. But do you think that he kind of pumped himself up like that? He's self-made, but he did get a sweetheart deal from his dad. So without his dad having the company to begin with, I don't know like how far he would have been successfully.
Bro, not only that goes throughout his entire career, that he built it up like he was Walt Disney and nobody else was involved, bro. Right. Bro, when you look at that's why, bro, when people, oh yeah, Vince McMahon was my filter. Are you fucking kidding me? My freaking filter. Bro, look at Vince's success. Look at the early WrestleMania years. Bro, all those guys that came into that territory were already made. They were already made, bro. They already had careers. When he brought them in, they already had their characters. Yeah, bro, what was there an Undertaker here or there that was actually developed in the WWE? Yeah, there were, bro, but they were really few and far between. So, bringing in the Kurt Hennings and the Ultimate Warriors and the Randy Savages and the Hulk Hogans, and bringing in, these were people that were already made and had a name for themselves. And not only that, bro, like, the people like Kevin Dunn that was never given any credit for the entire television production end of it. But that was the one thing that pissed me off about him, bro. He never gave credit to anybody else. I used to effing hate that about him, John, because I own my own freaking businesses, bro. And if I had great employees that were helping me be successful, I was constantly putting them over. But he kept all of that under wraps to paint himself the picture of being, the powerful and mighty Oz and Walt Disney, and it's all me and nobody. That used to piss me off about him more than anything else, bro.
And the thing with Hogan, too, which is so interesting, obviously Hogan never feared him. And a lot of people said without Hogan, there is no Vince. That used to piss Vince off. And so many of the guys that I've interviewed over like the last 9 years of the two-man power trip, they always said like, oh, without Hogan, I don't know if there would be a Vince. And apparently that really gets under Vince's skin. And that's kind of the problem with him and Hogan through the years, the up and down relationship, because Vince kind of goes back to, oh, this guy's taking credit for WWF. I'm the WWF. So was that always an issue with like Hogan and Vince? Like, so like you're thinking like, I'm the one that created WWF.
I would not argue for a second that without Hogan, there would be no Vince. I would not argue that for a freaking sec. Bro, John, it's funny, man. In today's day and age, 2004, bro, there are a lot of people around that weren't there for Hogan's heyday. They have no idea or impact of this guy in the wrestling. None. Zero. They think it was just another wrestler on the card. Bro, I swear to God. Bro, I remember that there was a poll taken many, many, many years ago. And it was Hulk Hogan was more recognizable to people than the president of the United States.
Right.
That's how freaking over Hulk was. So there's no question, bro. Without him, it would have been a completely different company, bro.
And that bothers Vince because
absolutely.
Yeah.
Bro, do you know when I left? Do you know, John, I had a time period where my video stores had gone out of business. And I was doing a radio show, Vicious Vincent's World of Wrestling, that I was paying for out of my own pocket, $500 a week. Because, bro, I was using that to get my foot in the door at the WWE. And that is eventually how I got my foot in the door. So my video store goes out of business, bro. And I'm freelancing for the WWE, the magazine. But my full-time job, bro, I was working at PC Richards & Son. I had a family, bro. My video stores just went out of business. I got to find another full-time job. But in the meantime, I've got to make money. So I was a salesman at PC Richards & Son. And, bro, this is what I'm talking about. When I left the WWE to go to WCW, there was a company-wide meeting where Vince was addressing the employees and whatnot. And it was just when I left. And somebody asked him, well, what is going to be the impact now without Vince Russo? Bro, first of all, those guys over at television, Kevin Dunn, number one at the top of the list. Number one. Bro, without a shadow of a doubt, Kevin Dunn knew what I was doing for WWE TV. Okay, he was the director before Vince Russo got there, and he was the director after Vince Russo left. While I was there, Kevin and I worked very closely together. Kevin knew what I was contributing. And so, bro, somebody brings up my name. Well, what's going to happen with Vince Russo not writing the TV anymore? And Vince turns around and says, not writing the TV anymore. Vince Russo was an appliance salesman that I gave an opportunity to.
Oh, my God.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. That was the shit that pissed. Because it was like, how in God's name, bro, John, I like putting other people over. Because first of all, John, I like it for two reasons. I'm not going to lie to you. First of all, it's free. It costs you nothing. It's free. And number two, you know the person you're putting over loves that. You know they appreciate it, bro. You know it means so much to them. So I love putting people. I put Jeff Lane over to no end. You know, I always say, yeah, bro, I'm the talent. But if I didn't have Jeff Lane doing what he does to do the other half of this thing, I have no qualms putting him over. But that was the thing about Vince, bro. He was always painting the picture. It was all him. Why do you think people say, oh, well, Vince McMahon was your filter? Really, bro? That's what Vince McMahon wanted you to believe, bro. Yep. And Vince's genius, bro, was hiring the right people for the most important jobs. Because I'm talking about me as a head writer, Kevin Dunn in television, JR talent relations, bro, Jim Johnson, you know, music. Bro, the guy, Richie Curtis, who did like all the special effects, he put the best people in the most important spots. But at the end of the day, he took credit for doing everything.
Had the best lawyer, too. Yeah. Everybody. Yeah.
Yes, you're right. Absolutely. Yeah. McDivitt, bro. Absolutely.
What do you think, like, when you look at, like, okay, he had all these successes, and we'll get to that in a second, but I'm curious, like, the failures, because he was so good with WWF and obviously became the number $1 billion business, now worth $9 billion. I think now it's probably worth even more after the Netflix deal. But, like, what do you think are the best failures he had? Because he had the XFL, the World Bodybuilding Federation, the Cape Cod Hockey League, or whatever he had up there.
Ico Pro.
Yeah. What do you? What's like the best failure he had, or like the, you know, maybe not the best is maybe the one way to put it, but the biggest.
John, I got to tell you, man, I'll never forget this. And I mean, I was in this meeting. I know Kevin Dunn was in this meeting. Vince was in this meeting. There were very few people in this meeting. But John, it was during the height of the Attitude Era. And everybody wanted to go into business with us. Everybody, bro, wanted to. I remember, bro, at the same time, Jerry Springer was red hot.
Yep.
His producer came in and was pitching us all kinds of shows to do with him. Everybody wanted us to do something, right? So we're in there one day, and it was just a few of us. I know Kevin was there for sure. And Vince basically starts going off on, bro, he like wanted to do a nightly news show where he gave his opinions on everything that was happening in the world. Okay, bro. And he's laying this thing out, and because I guess back then, like CNN and all that stuff was just starting to take a little traction and shit.
Yeah.
So he's laying out, yeah, I'll do it every week, Monday through Friday, blah, 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 blah. And bro, I remember looking at him and I said, bro, Vince, nobody gives a shit what you think about world politics. I said that. I said that. And the freaking look on his face. But think about it, bro. You know, we just talked about the XFL, the Ico Pro, WWE Studios. Where did that go? I mean, they had about 13 Marine movies, but that was about it. But yeah, bro, there were a lot of failures. And like I said, there were a lot of people that contributed to his success. Bro, nobody was better than JR when it came to talent relations. Nobody was better than JR. Vince McMahon couldn't have put together a better roster than JR, but never got his due, bro.
When you look at it too, Tout was another one, was that app or whatever was terrible. Remember they bought Tap Out for God knows whatever reason, was that clothing brand?
Yes.
There's a bunch of weird stuff that he did
what about the restaurant?
Oh, WWF New York. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
When you look at it, like too, it's like, okay, there's a bunch of failures, but the successes though, WWE obviously $1 billion business. Even the network at the time, people were like, oh, this is going to be a loser, and he ended up selling the rights to it to Peacock for $2 billion. So I mean, that turned out to be a success. Anything wrestling wise, he seems like pretty good at anything. I've ventured out, football, restaurants. It's kind of hockey.
And that was the thing, bro, because he knew that people look down their nose at wrestling. Yep. And that's why he was trying to make a name for himself in the entertainment world, in the sports world. He was always looking to do something outside of wrestling.
What do you think is the best success in wrestling, like as far as maybe even could be something you're a part of? I know he created the Undertaker with help from Bruce, and he really pushed that gimmick, and obviously had the huge success and 30-year career in WWE with that. But is it the Stone Cold Steve Austin feud? Is it the Bret screwed Bret? Is it the Corporation? Is it the Rock? What's his best success in wrestling?
Well, everything you just mentioned was basically me, so take those off the board. Bro, WrestleMania, no doubt. Coming up with that first WrestleMania, no doubt. And bro, like, obviously I wasn't there, so I don't know how that came about. I don't know who else was a part of that. I don't even know if the idea came from him. I have no idea. But the success of WrestleMania 40 years later, nothing can come close to that, bro. Nothing, zero, nothing.
When you look at it too, I mean, obviously Hogan played a huge part. The Hogan era played a huge part in really setting the foundation for becoming the $1 billion business. Because without that, who the hell knows what Vince is doing now, or where he is, and all this other stuff. So that's definitely a big part of it. But what's the legacy of him, or does all this other stuff, the Janelle Grant stuff, does that cloud his legacy?
The legacy is he shit on a girl's head, bro. What's Bill Cosby's legacy?
Yeah.
What's Harvey Weinstein's legacy? That's his legacy, bro. Like, literally put them all in a row. Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, Vince McMahon. That's the legacy, bro. What these guys did throughout their careers, the movies produced by Harvey Weinstein, the success of the Cosby Show, and the career that Bill Cosby had. all that they're going to remember is what happened at the end of the story. So as I'm sitting here and I'm putting over WrestleMania and this, that, forget all that, bro. Forget all that. That's not even going to be mentioned when people are going to be talking about Vince McMahon 10 years from now.
When you think about Vince, I know obviously you know him quite well. What do you think that he thinks like of this stuff? Does he even care? Because it seems like he's so like narcissistic about it. Like it's almost like, oh, I don't care, I'm an asshole. You know what I mean? Like he did an interview with Pat McAfee saying, you know, he did this wrong and that wrong, and he doesn't care, and you can look at him like an asshole, and he doesn't care what you think. What do you think that's going through his mind?
I think it is so sad, bro. And I think like, bro, all the money you made, what does it matter? None of that shit matters now. It means nothing. And bro, you nobody can sit here and tell me if you're a 77-year-old man and the thought of dying in prison is lingering over your head. I don't care who you are, bro. You can't tell me that you're not sitting there shitless. There is no doubt in my mind, bro. It's 77 years old. He's got to be looking at the question smack in the face. Am I going to die in prison when I'm 80? That's what he's looking at, bro. And I can't believe he is so delusional that he is looking at anything else. I can't believe that for a second.
Man, it's just insane when you really look at it. It's pretty shocking, obviously, but it's just insane. It's like, wow, this guy is a genius. You know, he created created the global wrestling brand WWF, and he's a billionaire, and then this is like what he's doing on his downtime. Like, I mean, Jesus, like, if allegedly, of course, you don't want to get in trouble with lawyers, so, but allegedly doing it. I was like, oh my god, like what's going on?
We can't comprehend it, John.
No,
like
I
we
can't.
can't.
I literally
You know
can't
what
wrap
it
my
is?
head
Like,
around it.
I say this all the time too, like about Tony Khan, bro, because you could have a conversation about Tony Khan all day long. I mean, he needs to do this, he needs to do that. He doesn't understand this, he doesn't understand that. You could have that conversation all day long, but here's the bottom line, bro. The dude's a billionaire. Period. End of story. John, you and I, we have no idea what it would be like to have $1 billion. And I guarantee you, no matter if we sat here and said, you know what, bro, if we had $1 billion, we'd be the same exact person we are. Bro, probably not. Probably not. Because first of all, bro, if you got $1 billion like a Vince or like a Tony Khan, you got everybody kissing your ass, bro. You got everybody building you up, telling you how great you are constantly, because they want some of that money. So when I look at a guy like Vince and his fortune and a guy like Tony Khan, bro, unless you've ever made that type of money, you just can't relate to those people. You can't relate to those people. How does a millionaire think? You know everyone on that roster, John, is up Tony Khan's ass. Everyone was up Vince McMahon's ass. And bro, when you've got people treating you that way 24/7, nobody's being honest with you. Nobody's giving you news you don't want to hear. Bro, you just become a different animal. Everything is different, and that's why, like, bro, I did a video the other day where it was just like, why Vince? Why, bro? I can't tell you why. I look at this shit and never in my wild, John, I swear to God, a big part of my job, John, I was the writer of the show, but I also did every pre-tape, every freaking pre-tape. Nobody produced my pre-tapes. I produced them all. John, do you know what a chore it was to get the females ready for a pre-tape, John? Because they're in hair, They're in makeup like they were constantly, bro. Wardrobe, hair, makeup, blah, 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 blah. It's like when you're trying to go out to dinner with your wife. It's the same thing. So like I constantly had to be on top of them, which means, John, there were a lot of times I had to knock on the dressing room door. John, do you know how careful I was when I knew I had to go in the women's locker room? Do you know how careful I was every single time? Because in my mind, oh my God, bro, God forbid one of them is half dressed. God forbid this. I was so careful. I would knock on that door a million times. Then I'd find somebody who's saying, who is it? It's Vince. Come in. I swear to God, John, I would. Are you sure? Are you sure? Is everybody dressed? Are you sure? Are you sure? Like that's how conscious I was about things happening. So when I'm looking at this freaking guy, like, are you out of your mind? Are you out of? I can't comprehend, bro, the stuff he is being accused of, because it's like, my God, bro, two things. Either you're not a genius and you're the biggest idiot in the world, or you had such an ego and you were so filled with power that you never thought you were going to get caught. It's one of those two things, John, because there's no other excuse for it.
So true. So true.
Yep.
Let's hit the plugs to wrap this bad boy up. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at 2Man Power Trip. What about Vince? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm just going to tell you guys right now, if you never, ever experienced Russo's brand and you never been a Patreon member, you can go to my Patreon right now, bro. Patreon.com/Russo TWC. Go there right now, bro. You get a free week of the brand. You could hear the shows for a week. No obligation, bro. It is absolutely free. Go to patreon.com/Russo TWC.
All right. Thank you to Vince. Thank you, everybody out there, for listening. We'll see you right back here next time for the next podcast. Have a good one, folks.